somebody who's from your hometown, looks like you, talks like you, believes in the same vision, to be able to meet him for the first time, it kind of was like, okay, like you're here, you're here.
Welcome to the B-Scar TV podcast, the home of high quality conversation. And we're back with another episode of B-Scar TV.
Man, legendary, you feel me?
And I have a very, very special guest today, my dog, Tevin Tavares.
What's happening, man?
AKA Tev.
Man, bro, you feel
my
me?
Dog.
My dog, what's happening with you?
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. You're kicking off season 2.
Bro, that's major, man. That's major.
It's a step in the right direction for B-Scar TV. One, as we are going from season 1 to season 2, but also just having you on the show, everything that you've done, that you're currently doing. We have this new pieces. We got these mugs on the table.
Man,
here.
I peeped that, bro. I was like, is this a part of the brand? You know what I'm saying?
So
Marathon.
This is a beverage of choice. I'm a cheers to you, bro.
Yes, sir.
With 2 high quality contents. I got some a dirty chai tea latte that I just spilled on myself.
I got some water. You know what I'm saying? It's like
some water.
Must stay hydrated, like Larry June would say. You feel me?
Hey.
You feel me? Hey, numbers, bro. Numbers. Putting up numbers, man. Season 2 numbers. You feel me?
Let's go. Tevin, you are a renowned filmmaker, storyteller, chasing the dream, living the dream. Man, I just want to, for myself, but also for the audience, just give us a little background of what you've been up to, bro.
Yeah,
Talk
man.
to us.
Well, first of all, I just want to just say it's an honor to be the first guest with season 2. I've kind of been watching from afar what you've been doing, and it's a beautiful thing, bro. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say hats off to you for even inviting me and giving me a space to, share just whatever I have to say on your platform and just sit back and just talk, bro. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But man, bro, it's
It's a loaded question because I know you're doing a lot.
Yeah, man. I would say, bro, 2022, I really learned a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't work on a project. I didn't film anything for a year, and I would say that I pretty much was just laying the groundwork for 2023. I wrote a lot. I pitched a lot. Had a lot of important meetings with companies and production companies and people that I looked up to. Met a lot of people. So 2022, I really was just about developing myself and becoming a better storyteller, becoming a better writer, becoming a better filmmaker, becoming a better artist. And I think that everything that I took from 2022, I was able to take into 2023. And now, we're kind of hitting the ground running. There's project after project after project. I just got done writing the latest draft of my feature film.
Okay.
So just finished a homie's music video that we're about to come out with soon. Just wrapped a short film not too long ago. And then I'm in development for, my first TV show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with the homie Natalie and Dorado. Shout out to them. But we're about to start pitching after the writer strike. So I'm excited about that. Got my producer, Jason Baum, on board for my first feature film with my co-writer, Lance Holloway. Looking forward to that. So it's a lot of things in rotation, and a lot of things that I'm excited for, and a lot of things that I think going into next year to 2024, I think that's when things are really going to shake up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's fire, bro. So I got put on T-Work. I've been following you for a long time.
Yeah, for a minute, bro.
I've been following you, before we met.
Yeah.
I followed you, and I, saw what you were doing when you were at Oregon, when you created Combined Culture.
Yep.
And you were doing that stuff. I just remember the Instagram page.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I like what this guy is doing. And then we had the fortune, or I had the fortune to be able to work with you on the Portland Gear collaboration that we did with the homies, Riley Brown, Jalen Ladd, Shawnee was on there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great team.
Amazing
And
team.
I think it was Jalen was like, yo, we should call the homie Tevin. Like, we should talk to Tevin. I think Riley, both of them were like, yeah, that would be a perfect guy to talk to.
Yep.
And I hit you on IG or whatever. We connected on a phone call. And I always remember this phone call because we were at the point where we were doing this clothing collaboration with Portland Gear. I was trying to figure out what the story was going to be and how I was connected to the brand. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to tell this story about home and tell the story about Portland. Mm-hmm. And I called you and I told you this, and we were going back and forth. And you said something like, the simpler that you can make it, the better. Yep. And you zeroed in on simplicity and was like, things like, you know, what park you used to go to or what bus line you used to take. And I was like, it was like, oh, shit. Yep. Yeah. That's cold. That's hard. Yeah, I used to take the 44, Yes, sir. And your ability to come up with those ideas on the fly, one, I'll never forget that, but never forget just kind of like the simplicity little nugget that you gave me.
Yeah, man. Nah, and that was, I mean, I think that sometimes a lot with like storytelling, a lot of things are real simple. I study the likes of like, you know, Nike with Phil Knight, Disney, Walt Disney, filmmakers like Steven Spielberg, you know, Ryan Coogler, brands, you know, you even look at Drake, you know. I think that storytelling is really how can you take a large concept, a high level concept, and make it simple where it could be so understandable that a child can understand it. And I think to me, like, you know, that's how my mind operates, you know, and in the industry that we have right now with Hollywood, you know, you have to be able to express your idea in, you know, 5 seconds, right? You know, what you want. So I think that when you take high level concepts and you're able to simplify it into 5 seconds, 10 seconds, so a child can understand it, any human being can understand it from around the world. I think that's the key, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And then as a filmmaker, and I feel like, I mean, you must have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
I know I got a lot of ideas.
Yeah, you definitely do.
You've made it, you know, your business is to have ideas and stories to tell. So, you know, and I got a ton of questions around this, but just like starting with, how do you know the right story to tell?
That's a great question. In film, you're going to work on things for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So any project that I work on, I have to love it. Yeah. And I have to see myself being able to work on it every single day, even if it's the next 3-4 years out of my life. And I have to be willing to be okay if that idea does get scrapped or killed. But something that I know serves my purpose. And I think, you know, I was fortunate enough to find out my purpose when I was like 18 years old. And I knew at 18, it was like, I want to inspire people with my creativity. So every single project that I touch or that I work on that comes from, you know, out of my mind, I wanted to be able to inspire people from around the world. Yeah. So it's just being able to put up and sacrifice years out of my life, days, hours, minutes, into something that I feel proud of at the end when it's out. And sometimes that's the hard part, is actually putting it out into the world. That's the depressing part, because it's something that you've been working on for so long. And then when it's out into the world, now it's like it's time for the world to digest it. And however the world chooses to digest it and come back with it, you know, it's whatever happens. So that's the beautiful part about it.
Right. Yeah, no, and you're at an interesting point in your career. Like, before maybe you were at this point, there seems to have been maybe some like less pressure. Yep. When you had that idea that you wanted to do or to execute, get the homies together, shoot it, put it out, put it in the portfolio, and then move on to the next one. Now, I imagine you're at this place where when you have an idea and you choose that idea, you're having to pitch it, you're having to fund it. You know, the ideas are getting bigger. So do you feel like there's more pressure as your career has evolved?
I think the only pressure that I put on myself is every single project has to get better. I put this weight on my shoulder where damn, what if I drop something and people are like, that was whack. You know what I mean? Or like it was corny, or like I expected better. You know what I mean? And I think now that I've gotten older and I've done this, I think because I don't drop often.
Yeah.
I don't put out projects like every single week or every 2 weeks. There's a pressure that I put on myself where it's like people nowadays, every time I drop something, they're expecting it to be heat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, damn, because I only drop like, maybe 3-4 times a year, maybe 2 times a year, maybe once. So I put pressure on myself because I'm like, damn, like I want to be able to give people what they're expecting from me every single time. And they're expecting excellence. They're expecting me to, every single project that I come out with, to top the last one that I did.
Yeah, right.
So it's hard, bro. It's hard, and I know like there's nights where I lose sleep about this because I'm just like, I can't let people down. I can't let my family down. But at the end of the day, I just have to, realize one of my good friends, Comedic, shout out to him. He just did the Rich Spirit video for Kendrick Lamar. He did White Man Can't Jump. He did House Party.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he's one of my mentors. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, like it don't matter. You know what I mean? It don't matter. And at the end of the day, it's just art. We just have to be able to put it out into the world, and however people digest it. Like I've had projects that legit, like, and I think the biggest thing that I strive for is longevity. And it's like I could put a project out, and a year or 2 years later, people are still watching it, inspired by it, or people are like, yo, like we still want to work with you on this. And there's been times where I've done a project and legit a year later, people were like, yo, we want to put it up on our platform. And I'm like, I thought people completely forgot about that project.
Yeah.
So I think it's just holding yourself to like every piece of art that I put out into the world is able to go a long way and be forever lasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that thought process too. We was just I was just talking to Dylan earlier, and with this season 2, as we're like trying to be consistent with episodes and experiment with solo episodes, it's like, let's alleviate ourselves of any pressure. Like let's just create it and put it out. And I think because in the podcast space, it's like, I don't know, I think it's artful, but like you can just create and put it out, and just like iterate. And that's what we're at that point, we're in a much different like point, and B-Scar TV is at a much different point in its career than you are. You know what I mean? We got a couple of loyal listeners, shout out to y'all, but we don't got, thousands of folks with their eyes on it yet. So we're at this point, we're like, we're with the homies and we're iterating and we're gonna, put it out.
Bro, heck yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful part about the journey and the process is that's essentially what me and Jalen and Victor, like that's what we did back then when I was living in Portland, was just like there was one moment I was listening to a song on Kendrick Lamar's album and I was like, fuck it, let's go make a fake music video for Kendrick. And it blew up. Like Victor was acting in it. And it was just like, you have that freedom because you're like, we don't really have that many eyes on us yet. So let's just kind of just say fuck it and go do it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the beautiful part about starting off in the journey and the process. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a freedom to it for sure.
For sure.
And then, but like once you grow in your career, it seems like how you measure your success. Like for you, you're like, I'm trying to elevate each time I drop.
Yep.
But I feel like there's also a piece where elevating can't necessarily be pinned to the amount of eyeballs or ears or amplification that comes with it. There's something like internal, right? Like you control the measure of success on whether this is an elevated project or not.
Exactly. And I think at the end of the day, when you're directing a project, you're behind the screen, there's a monitor, and you have the ability, you control that, right? So it's like, dang, I don't really like the way that she said that. It sounds corny, or I don't really like the way that it was shot. You have the ability to get it down to the right way that you want it to be. And you also have the ability to just say like, fuck it, like we'll just move on to the next shot, it'll be all right, and then it'll kick your ass in post. And I think that I hold that same kind of weight whenever I release something is like there's conversations in my head when I'm watching cuts of a film, and I'm like, like is this good? Is this bad? Like, do I not feel good about it? You know, does my gut tell me like this isn't it? But I know like I've watched every single second of a film that I worked on, and I approve of every single second. So when it's out into the world, it's like, hey, like I ran that through my train of thought.
Yeah.
I know my taste, I know my judgment, and I'm okay with this. And once I put it out, it's out, you know?
Yeah, no, that's fire. I like that. There's a level of like, if you, I've had a conversation with homies about like the concept of regret.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And on certain decisions that you make, right? And you can't have regret if you look back on something and in that moment where you made the decision, you had clarity of mind, it was calculated, you know, you are who you were at that point in time.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of like, you know, putting that time in. And that's the thing is like perfectionism.
Yep.
I'm sure that you probably, you know, as you're saying, you go through every second of every film that you do, and it has to be right.
Yep.
That actor or that actress has to say, you know, that line exactly how you're imagining it,
man,
which can be a tough process, but like worthwhile when you think about the longevity of things.
Exactly. It's gonna live on the internet for however long
forever.
Yeah, forever.
And I mean, and I think that's important to acknowledge and respect your own work and what you're doing. It is important, you know, and you know, people will watch it and people will be inspired by it.
Yep.
And regardless of the number of people, you know, like hopefully it's millions and millions.
Right. That's the goal.
That's the goal. But, you know, like that if one or two people are inspired, then you just change the life. Right. I was just listening to this podcast. I'm getting into this habit of citing podcasts on my podcast. I was listening to Lex Friedman and Mark Andreessen. And Mark Andreessen is this tech guy. He owns a venture capital firm in the Bay. And they were talking about Steve Jobs. And when he went from Apple in 1985, he left Apple. It was like he left for 12 years and did his own thing. And he was building computers. And within that time frame, one of the first computers that he built, you know, was a big box, right? It was 12 inches long by 12 inches high by 12 inches wide. So it was like a complete square box. And the engineers, the people who were building it, they pushed back on him with that because if it had been 12 by 12 by 13, it'd have been like half the cost. But he pushed it. He was like, nah, because aesthetically, he believed that aesthetics was more than just what something looked like, was more than just appearance. Right. It actually had underlying meaning. And I'm quoting this from Mark Andreessen, and I thought it was beautiful the way he said that. Yeah. That's like intentional about your work.
Yeah. And Steve Jobs is another person that I really look up to. People really don't know this. I mean, well, if you pay attention, but Steve Jobs is the person who really believed in Pixar when it first started.
I didn't know that.
There's this book called Creativity, Inc., and it's a great book. Heard it from a Ryan Coogler podcast. He recommended it. But Steve Jobs, the way that his mind operates, the way that he was able to believe in his vision, and sometimes it did, you know, bite him in the ass a couple of times because people thought he was an asshole. But he's somebody that believed in the nature of storytelling and how storytelling can impact, you know, many generations of individuals across the world with simplicity. And you look at an Apple product, it's essentially, you know, he took these many different things and put it into an iPhone that made people's lives easier to function. And I think that's the key to storytelling is the way that he even did his presentations, the way that he would share stories and get people to believe in what he was saying. And I think that's what comes with being a leader.
Yeah.
You know, is how can I persuade my team to come with me along this journey to help shape the world. And I think that's kind of the mindset that I have when I'm directing a project is how can I get my DP, how can I get my grip and lighting crew, how can I get my actors, actresses, how can I get the lady who's PAing, the crafts lady, how can I get all of them to function, to come together to make this beautiful piece of art. And I think that that's what comes with being a leader. And, you know, that's I feel like what I've been destined to be since I was young. So it's no surprise that I'm a director now and an artist, most importantly, because I feel like the art that I'm able to put out into the world through filmmaking is just how I can help, you know, share my thought process to the rest of the world.
No, I feel that. And before we hopped on, we was talking about like this perfect time to be an athlete doing a podcast or an athlete like storytelling.
Shout out to Outliers.
Shout out to Outliers. Being born in July 1st, 1993, that 30th birthday creeping up on me.
Oh, bruh. Wait, hold on. Did you already turn 30?
Nah, on July 31st.
Oh, July 31st. Okay, I thought you said July 1st. How you feel going into 30?
Oh man, 30, bro. I've been going back and forth on it. On one hand, age is just a number.
It is.
Right? And I think especially like the significance of a decade, you know, like the only reason that the number 10 is important is because it has like 2 digits, which is like we decided that it had 2 digits, but it really has no significance to our biological or physiological like development. Right. You know what I mean? I think 7 is a more significant number. I think 28 and 35 are when you have like real changes. 28 was a huge change for me. And I think 7 just being like this biblical significance, it has stood the test of time, like that number. So anyways, that's like just one conspiracy about turning 30 that I have. But yeah, I don't know, man. I've been going back and forth, like also just getting older.
Yeah, man.
Getting older.
Yeah,
I think you have the existential thoughts that I feel like, you know, every human like we have is like, you know, we have a finite time on this earth. Not to get too deep about it, but like 30 will make you feel that way. You know? Well, my parents are 60. Right? And so I'm like half of their age. So it's just it's interesting, bro.
It's interesting, man. It's funny, some days I wake up and I'm like, damn, like I'm about to be 30, you know, in January, and you know, that's still some time. But I think some days I really think to myself, I'm like, in my 29 years of life, you know, if I was to leave, you know, did I do everything and leave a lasting impact? And I think I did. I can say that confidently, that I don't feel any type of regret of how I lived my life. The people that I've been able to impact, the lives that I've been able to touch, the relationships that I've been able to form with individuals. You know, I think that I've done everything to be the best son that I could be, the best, you know, friend that I could be, the best grandchild, the best nephew, the best student that I could be. So I don't have any regrets, you know. Real talk.
That's a beautiful thing, bro. 30 years of age. I would agree with that. I'm in the same boat, luckily, where I feel like I've pursued and chased my dreams, you know, and that's always, I think, been a lifelong fear is not chasing my dreams. And we talked a little bit about regret and like having regret.
Absolutely.
You know, and I don't have any. You know, I was thinking like, you know, if I was all to do it all over again, would I do it differently? I probably wouldn't.
Nah, man. There's
no
reason to.
And 30 is beautiful also because like I just feel like the world's at our fingertips.
Nah, man, we still getting started, dog.
I feel like the world is our oyster as far as like, you know, to get up to this point, the first 21 years of your life are basically like mapped out.
Yep.
For a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right? Like you go to school, You grow up, you live with your parents, you live in the city that you were born in, then you leave your town, maybe you go to college or whatever. It's only been like the last 9 years that we've had this kind of like freedom to build and do what we want to do. And now we're in this place, like you're saying, like we're established, and now it's building and pursuing, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the best part about it, dog.
Yeah. When I was saying earlier about this being like the perfect time as an athlete to do a podcast and to storytell, it also seems like it's a perfect time to be a filmmaker, to be a storyteller, producer, like working in film. And even to tie in the Steve Jobs reference, like when he went back to Apple in 1997, you know, that was 26 years ago. Like, remember what those computers look like compared to these computers that we're working on, this iPad, like how far it's come.
Right.
And in film, it's been a lot of the same. Like how many more just technology and things are at your fingertips to work with.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, aside from technology, it's a very difficult time in the industry right now. But it's a time, shout out to the writers. They're on the Writers Guild of America. They're striking right now to get, you know, what they believe is equal pay. And writing is so important. I'm not a part of the Writers Guild yet or the Directors Guild. I'll be a part of those guilds probably in the next 2 years, maybe the next year. But right now with the strike going, there's going to be a lot of reshaping of the industry right now, just because a lot of how should I put this? A lot of I guess dead weight is going to be released.
Like what you mean?
With this writer strike, a lot of like leftover content, or you know, a lot of stuff that happened during the pandemic is now starting to like fall off or crumble, or the industry is like reshaping in a way.
Yeah.
Now people are, you know, with Barbie and Oppenheimer coming out this month, like movies are now starting to get more attention, you know.
Right,
and, you know, because obviously you could see during the pandemic, you know, people thought the movie industry was dead.
It was dead, right.
But now it's like kind of coming back in full force. And I
can't
think
wait to see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love Christopher Nolan's like one of my favorite filmmakers.
Top 3 for me.
For sure. But I just think that just from what I've been hearing and I've been talking to people, and there's a lot of people out there right now who don't have a lot of hope for filmmakers of color, creators of color. It's so hard as a creator of color to, you know, get a movie made or to get a TV show made with the proper budget to really execute what you want to execute, you know?
Yeah, is that a product of the relationships, the network, or is that just a product of like biases of the people who are green lighting the shows and giving the budgets? Like they just
It's that.
Yeah.
It's that. Okay. Man. It's that. It's definitely that. It's who's green lighting, who's giving the budget, who's giving the money.
Right.
It's even hard, you know, there's filmmakers out there who have talked about it, like Ryan Coogler, you know, who's said, like, you know, as a black filmmaker, it's so hard to get a movie made and get the proper budget. But you have films like Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan, you know, Transformers, Stephen Cable Jr., Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ryan Coogler. It's a perfect time for myself as a filmmaker now because those 3 films were popping in the box office. Yeah. So now it's more likely for somebody to bet on a young filmmaker like myself. Yeah. So it's kind of like we said, like outliers. You were born at the perfect time to be an athlete with a podcast and share your stories. I was kind of born in the perfect time where I'm 29 years old. You know what I mean? And like those filmmakers like a Coogler or a Michael B. Jordan or Stephen Cable Jr., they've already went through what they went through to allow for younger filmmakers like myself to come in the game. Right. And it's just slightly easier. Yeah. Just a little easier.
They paved the way.
They paved the way. So it's all about just divine timing and how everything is set up. Yeah. So I think that I'm coming into the industry, and I've been in the industry, but I think I'm entering into the industry, once I kind of get my first feature film or first TV show made, there's shows like Atlanta out there with Donald Glover. They're already paving the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right now, it's just the perfect time. You know what I mean? Like I'm hopeful of the future,
Hell yeah. I'm a big fan of Atlanta.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Huge fan.
It's my favorite TV show, man.
I'm with you, bro. What'd you think of the last season?
I think it's hard, man. I think that they did everything that they could. Sometimes in TV, sometimes in film, you don't know how big your cast is going to get, how they're going to blow up. And all those characters, they all blew up. Donald Glover was the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 4 years, Lakeith Stanfield,
is
Zazie
popping.
Beetz, Brian Tyree.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get all those characters together again for one little season. So like with what they had to go through with the pandemic and scheduling and trying to get the whole cast together to shoot different things, I think they did what they had to do, and I think they laid the blueprint for creatives like myself to go out there and say that's the bar, and that's the bar. Okay, well, how do we surpass that?
Yeah,
and I think that's the goal, and I think that's the mindset. Because nowadays, it's the same thing when you were in the league, right? You might have looked up to like a Julius Peppers. I don't know why I just came up with Julius Peppers out of nowhere.
He was nice.
Or a Tom Brady, you feel me? And these are people that you watched like when you were a kid.
Ray Lewis.
Yeah, Ray Lewis. And now you're in the league. Now you're like, oh, we're all on the equal playing field. You know what I mean? So now it's like it's competition in a way. You know what I mean? So now it's just like I've met Donald. I've met Coogler. And I'm like, man, like these dudes are people I looked up to as the GOATs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now like we're in the same playing field. Like I'm over here chopping it up with them at parties and stuff, and we're chopping it up, and I'm meeting people, and I'm like, dang, like these now are like my equals in a way. You know what I mean? So now it's like I always dreamed of being in those rooms, and now I'm in those rooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now it's just like same way when you're playing sports. It's like, okay, now it's like let me get my reps in, and now let's go. You feel me?
Drizzy said, when your idols become your rivals.
Nah, yeah, man.
It ain't a rivalry.
It ain't a rivalry, but it's like, man, it's the people that I look, bro. I've met probably everybody that I looked up to, like since I've been in LA.
That's dope, bro.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's fire.
So it's a blessing.
I really respect Donald Glover, and I also respect Hero. I
love Hero. That's like one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Hero Murai.
Yeah, he's cold. And I just love how they've done the last really 2 seasons, like how each episode is a story in itself.
It's a story within itself.
And it's connected with the overarching plot because it has a certain meaning. But like in that last season where it was the story about Buddy that started the Goofy movie that started Disney.
Was genius.
Bro, I thought that was real. I had to go and Google like, yo, is this a real thing?
Yeah.
I mean, the episode was basically about a black designer at Disney who had the same name of the successing CEO. And in the paperwork when they were assigning the CEO after Disney CEO had passed away, they gave it to the black dude instead of the person it was supposed to go to, and he stuck. And then he created the character of Goofy and how Goofy was a representative of the black community and the whole storyline, and then he created Goofy movie. It was just this,
Bro, longevity.
Bro.
Like that episode will last for decades.
Yeah.
People will always remember that episode, that one episode. So
man,
I think that's just the genius of Donald and his team is just creating cultural moments that stick. You know? So I think that's always the goal.
Creative initiative and being willing to take those risks. When you're pitching ideas, talk to me. Like when you are pitching the folks who are responsible to green light, to pass the budget, to say, hey, this idea is worth producing. What's the process? How do you one, find the people to pitch? What does the pitch look like? I'm asking for the audience, but also for myself, because you know what I mean. I have aspirations of telling stories in this way too. So I'm curious. Yeah,
it's funny. So I'm signed to this global agency. It's like one of the top global agencies in the world, WME.
Okay, yeah.
So I got with them top of 2022. And usually how it works is me and, you know, last year how I did it was me and my manager, we and my agent, we developed a TV show idea. And now I have a producer on board, Natalie Guerrero. I have a co-writer on board, Dorado Quick. We're gearing up to pitch my TV show, to pitch our TV show again, for a second time. So last year, what will happen is, you know, we'll come up with a story idea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work on a deck for it. You know, it's like, okay, here goes the characters. Here goes seasons 1 through 4, what that looks like. Here goes the style creatively, what it looks like.
Okay.
And we'll put it together, and we'll come up with a story for, like, what is the first season? What is the pilot episode? And then from there, I'll run it by my manager. We'll run it by my agent. And then my agent, what they'll do is they'll set up meetings, you know, with like A24, Paramount, Netflix, Macro, different production companies, Proximity. And then from there, I'll break it down. Like, I pitched to A24 last year, my first TV show.
Okay.
How the process was is, I mean, you have an hour, right? And you try to, within the first 30 minutes, go through your deck, go through your presentations. Yeah. And then the last 30 minutes, if they have any questions, like, hey, like, you know, what's the main character's arc, you know, or, you know, what happens to him in season 5 or her in season 5? What do you think? What audience are you trying to go for? And I went through that whole process in 2022. Like, I, you know, pitched to probably, I think, 12 different production companies. Yeah. So by the time I got to, like, my first pitch, it was trash. You know what I mean? Like, I was over here, like, trying to, like, play it up and be so much bigger. And then legit, like, every single pitch, I was like, how could I just shorten this, like, to get to, like, 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. And I think, like we talked about before, simplicity. It's like, here's the concept of the show. Here's the journey that our character is going to go on. And then the last back half of it, it's like the quicker that you could get through your pitch, it's an elevator pitch in a way. And as long as they just see it and they have the vision for it, and they'll ask their questions, and then from there we'll decide, you know, moving forward. So
okay. So in that first 20 minutes, you got it down to 20 minutes, and you're going through your deck. Are you storytelling through your deck?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Like, it's you're telling a story. You know, you're leading. I think you know, it's funny. Back when I was an intern, I was an intern at Nike with Jordan Brand when I was a junior at Oregon, and they always talked about how Nike always starts their presentations with a video. And it's like you always have to have, like, a hook that gets the audience in. And I learned that, like, in, like, high school. Like, you remember when you write essays, you start with a quote or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how I would start my presentations, as I would start it with a quote, talk about how really I came up with the idea, and then bam. But now it's like I don't have to go through that process, like, by myself anymore. Like, now I have a producer on board, Natalie, super talented. She works at this company called Macro. And then I also have my homie, my partner in crime, Dorado Quick. So now when I go into these meetings and these pitches after the writer strike, now I'll be able to have like a solid like
team.
Like, I got, like, a team behind me that can be like, all right, cool. Now we're gonna bounce each other back off, like, back and forth. So now it's like, all right, cool. Because before, when I was pitching, it was me and my manager. And now, like, that I have, like, another set of individuals on, like, now we have a whole team. Yeah. And now we can really get on these calls and attack it, you know, from point A to point B, and to really create this masterful show. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for that. You know?
Yeah, no, that's fire, bro. Best of luck in that journey in 2023. When you put your team together and you guys kind of, like, lay the groundwork, you all coming up with an agreement on the concept, the idea that you're going to pitch, how deep do you get into, like, ownership of the concept between your team? Do you get that out of the way up front? Like, hey, we're equal owners, or hey, this is, you know, I own X percent of equity in the show. And how do you go about that?
Man, dog, I think it's just trusting your team. Like, it's really just like, hey, like, we're all coming together on this. And obviously everybody has representation. So it's like, hey, like, your agent talks to my agent. You know what I mean? Your manager talks to my manager. And then we'll have everybody, you know, kind of talk about everything and make sure everything is straight, because that's how a lot of things get mixed up is, you know, you're kind of, like, basing everything off morale, you know, and then all of a sudden, like, later, you know, when the show is made and developed, it's like, oh, like, you know, what's going on? But I'm thankful enough that with my TV show, like we had all those conversations
That's good.
already up front,
Yeah.
you know, and we kind of got everything like, here's how the lay of the work and the lay of the groundwork is going to go. So yeah, I think those are things that you learn in the you know what I mean? Like you've been through it, I'm sure.
I've
like
learned it,
yeah, like you want to get those things taken care of up front.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Get the money talks out the way. Get the money talks done before the money's on the table.
Before it's on the table.
Because once it's on the table, it gets it gets cloudy.
It's just responsibility thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, and we haven't sold the TV show yet, but it's like, nah, like let's make sure that our agents, our managers, like everybody is aligned with like how we're doing this. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So you got a show recently greenlit, and I say recently loosely. I think it was maybe a couple years ago with Top Class, with Amazon Studios. You had it seems like you had quite the team. I saw that there were 3 directors. You were one of 3 directors on that show. Love what you guys did with that.
It was a great team. You know, it was a great team of filmmakers from Spring Hill, Uninterrupted. We had a great team, and I think we were able to create something that was, man, bruh, it was a moment. You know what I mean? Like, the thing that I remember most about Top Class is it came out in the middle of the pandemic. So nobody else had any. It was kind of like people watched The Last Dance, and then people were like, okay, like The Last Dance is over. What else are we going to watch? But people will say like Top Class season 1 was kind of like The Last Dance for kids, for high schoolers.
Yeah.
And it low key kind of was because, bruh, there was kids like on Twitter like debating like Top Class over Last Dance. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
And kids really like around the world, like people were hitting me up from China and were like, how can we watch it? You know, like we've been seeing this been going viral, and it was just, I think that was just another, you know, testament of like why I really do this. You know, it's to impact and have an impact on people, on kids like across the world. You know what I mean? Generations, to inspire them. But Top Class was a moment, bro. It was a moment that I'll never forget. It was really my first real big project.
Yeah.
You know, the one that kind of started everything. And it didn't start everything, but it was the one.
It kind of put you on the map a little bit.
It put me on the map for sure,
like
for sure.
A debut.
Yeah, it was a directorial debut for sure. For sure. It for sure was, and it was a hell of a directorial debut too. So,
congratulations, man.
Nah, bro, I appreciate
that shit's crazy, bro. How did that come together,
bruh? Josh Kahn at Uninterrupted, or he's not at Uninterrupted or Spring Hill anymore, but this guy named Josh Kahn, when I first moved to LA, me and him, he worked at Bronze Company, Spring Hill, and we were just trying to find like the right project to work on. And ironically enough, I had just did Damian Lillard's first music video called Dre Grant. So I had just got that done in Oakland. I came back to LA, and Josh Kahn was like, hey, like, you know, come by the office. I think we might have a project for you. And I remember sitting down, and it was, I remember Maverick Carter was just leaving out of there, but it was Devin Johnson, Camille, Josh Kahn, and I think we all, and another guy named Josh Oshinsky, I think he was there too, who was one of the directors. And they kind of all sat down in this room, and they're like, all right, like, you know, like we trust in you, you know, we believe in your vision and your way to impact, like, you know, kids and youth. And they were like, here goes the vision. It was this other creative director from Spring Hill named Ricardo, shout out to Rick. And they were like, yo, like, you know, this is kind of the vision. And Gerardo as well. We were like, yo, this is the vision that we have for this. And this is before the pandemic. It's like 2019. So they were like, they're going to be trapped. Like, they're like this rock star group of kids. Like, it was LeBron's son, D-Wade's son. They had a McDonald's All-American and Brandon Boston Jr. They had another McDonald's All-American and Zaire Williams. So they were the most talked about hype team like in a minute, you know. And I remember sitting at my desk at work, and I was like, man, bro, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to go to a game. You know what I mean? At Sierra Canyon, like Bronny was a freshman, so there was all this hype around him, and they were like, nah, like, you know, we believe in you, and you know, let's go do it. And probably I want to say like a month later, I was traveling with the team with you know, the DP Anthony Brooks, Milana, Doug, Craig, you know, and we traveled with them, bruh, for like 3 or 4 months, man.
Wow.
It was probably the craziest time of my life.
Went to every game.
Yeah, bro, and every single game was sold out. Like, people, the hype about Bronny was crazy back then.
Yeah.
Like, and it's still crazy now, but back then, bro, nobody knew what to expect. Like, he was a freshman.
Right.
You know, and you had D Wade's son on the same team.
Yeah.
So it was a show, bro. It was like a circus, you know.
Yeah. No, that's nuts, bro. How much did you operate a camera at all?
Bro, once,
Okay.
and it was I think like, Oliver, our other DP on it. It was him and Anthony, and we were a whole team. We traveled. I think Ollie had to leave. He had to leave early for this Virginia game. I think he had to go back home, and we really only had, I think, like, you know, one camera op, and usually we would have two. And there was just one moment, like, bro, I remember my Craig, our producer, he had took a picture, and it was my first time. It wasn't my first time operating, but it was it was like I was just kind of gotten thrown into the fire, you know. And it was like, all right, cool, you gotta shoot, you know what I mean? So I was like, dang, bro, it was crazy, because some of the footage I was like, dang, did I do it right? And there was this moment where I was in the locker room, and you know, when you have a controlled environment or uncontrolled environment like that, I remember there was a moment they went into the locker room, and Andre was getting on Amari Bailey, who just got drafted. Shout out to him. He was getting on his ass, and there was a moment where it was just me in the locker room, and I was filming the whole moment. And you know, it's kind of like in those moments you have to be quiet, and you have to low key just kind of like move along, because you're capturing raw, organic moments. And at that point, I was like, damn, like this is filmmaking, you know. Like it's just like you're capturing organic moments that legit people are like, all right, we don't know if a camera should be in here or hear this, but I mean, if you're cool and you have those relationships with them, it's like, all right, that's just Tev, like he's just sitting here filming, you know. And I think I was able to create a relationship, you know, the whole team was able to create really a relationship with that basketball team where, you know, months down the road, it was like the cameras are here, you know, we're not really tripping.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, building trust with them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're not operating a camera in those moments, as a director, are you directing are you seeing the moments happening? Like you just said, the one in the locker room with Amari and the coach. Yep. Would you be seeing that moment happen and say, "Yo, camera person, we need to capture this"? Or how, like as a director, at the games or at the shots?
Yeah.
What are you actually doing as a director?
So here's the thing, man. I think that we had this other guy named Matt Maxon, and me and him, we would just talk about the story. You know, it's like, all right, cool. Like today, let's focus on Amari.
Okay.
Today, let's focus on Bronny. Today, let's focus on Brandon Boston. And you're and I'm working with the DP where I'm like, hey, like today, I want you to get all close-up shots of Bronny. Like get his fingers, get his face. It seems like he's going through a lot today at practice. Let's capture some of that emotion. There was a moment where one of their best friends had passed away tragically in a car accident. So it's like, hey, like Shy is going through it right now. You know what I mean? So let's just focus on him today, because that was one of his best friends. You know, so I think it's trusting your instincts to figure out what's the type of story that we want to tell. Yeah. But also like giving references to my DP, Anthony or Ollie, and it's like, hey, like here goes this doc you should watch, or here goes this movie. Like I want it to look like this cinematically, right, you know, or I'll send over like screenshots of references and say like, hey, today, like let's shoot it, you know, from a fly on the wall perspective, or let's kind of be up in their face or from above an angle, just so it makes them look more larger than life. So I think that's the key to directing, is being able to figure out what your story is that you want to tell, mixed with references of what you want it to look like tonally, stylistically, and, you know, all that goes into like choosing which camera you want. But yeah, it's a whole process.
So you're seeing things at a high level, storyline, what you want it to feel like, but then you're also zoomed in on each moment and what exactly, you know, what do you want this to creatively feel like? What does that shot need to look like? What do we need to focus on to then be able to match or be able to piece together those zoomed in moments to create that high level zoomed out moment? Exactly.
And there's moments where you'll think about things on the fly. Like I just did a short film recently, and there was something in my head where I was like, yo, like what would it sound? And there was a moment, you know, where one of the kids in the film, his name is Dorian, and he was seeing his son. You know, his son is like probably 2 months old. And as I was on the plane, I was like, man, like I wonder, you know, what would it sound like if he, you know, wrote a letter to his son, and we, you know, paired it with clips of him holding his son, and we had him recite that poem, like just as a voiceover. And how beautiful of a moment that would be, as almost like a time capsule. So that's a moment that I just thought about in the airport. I was like, talking to my creative partner, Francis, and I was like, yo, like, what if we had Dorian kind of write a poem and recite this poem as a voiceover over clips of him holding his son? And just to add more of a poetic kind of style to it that's more heartfelt. So I think there's seeing certain moments that I'll grasp in the world that it's like, what can I make that's not only beautiful but human at the same time,
That's fire, bro.
Right.
That's fire.
We'll be right back after this bathroom break.
I've had this one passenger, bro, she was like an older Hispanic lady, and I picked her up from Beverly Hills. I was listening to like Tupac, and she got in the car, and she heard it go from Tupac to like jazz. It was a little drastic, man. I should have put on some Whitney, but I put on like jazz. And it was like awkward for like 2 minutes, bro, before she couldn't take that shit no more. She was like, you could throw back what you had on. And I like changed it to something like, I think I put on some R&B. She was like, no, like the rap, the hip hop. And I was like, oh no. I was like, she might have got mad, bro. She might have felt like I aged her. Yeah. I was like, I'm so sorry.
We're back from a little bathroom break. We were talking about how your work has evolved from doing the video with Nino, Victor Covington, and Riley and Jalen back in the day.
Oil Shouty, that was Nick Pop, man.
Oh, that was Nick Pop?
Yeah.
Okay. And then now up to the last video that I just rewatched, the Legacy Makers with Hennessy and with Chad Easterling, which was just super polished video and artful. Curious to hear now, man, what's next? You talked about a feature film.
Yep.
You talked about a TV show.
Yep.
I know you got to keep some of it in Pandora's box, but talk to us what you got on the docket. What's coming up?
Yeah, man, I think the thing that I'm most excited for has been my feature film. It's called CTRL-X. It's my debut album, man. I think that people always wait for an artist to drop their debut album. And I think that my first feature film, CTRL-X, is like my debut album.
It's your Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah, it's my good. I like to say it's my Good Kid, Mad City. You know
Okay,
I mean?
yeah.
Because I took so much influence from that movie. I mean that soundtrack was a movie.
Yeah, 100%,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
And it's essentially, without giving too much away, it's about a kid who's a tech genius, and it's his last summer in the Bay Area before he goes off to college, and what that summer looks like. And the summer before I left to go to Oregon, Good Kid, Mad City had just came out. So that was the soundtrack to my summer. So that's why I say that my first feature film, CTRL-X, is my Good Kid, Mad City. It's something that me and my co-writer, Lance Holloway, me and him have been writing since 2019.
Oh, wow.
And we just now are, we let it breathe. We got done with it in 2020, and we let it breathe for 2 years, didn't even touch it. And legit, like this year, we got a producer on board, Jason Baum, who's a great friend of mine. He's an amazing producer. You've seen his work before. He did the Humble video for Kendrick Lamar. He did the Heart Part 5 video for Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yeah, that was fire.
And he did the Count Me Out video for Kendrick Lamar as well. And he's somebody who I admire his taste, and he gets it. And I think that that's really all it takes when you have a feature film, is getting the right producer on board to help you execute your vision. And Jason is somebody who sees these artfelt images the same way that I see them, and we want to impact the world in the same way through our creative lens. And obviously, he's like, Kendrick Lamar, Dave Free, PG Lang, they've been working with Jason since Kendrick did Humble. You know what I mean? So that's the type of quality of art that I want to make.
Yeah.
And I think that having him on board to produce CTRL-X it's only right. We've been knowing each other since 2017, and we always talked about, hey man, like, you know, when you gonna produce my feature, man, like,
Right,
you know,
right,
when
right.
you gonna do it. And now, like, you know, we got the draft down to, I want to say, we had it originally at like 127 pages, and now it's at 108. So it's a lot more concise.
How does that equate to like time of the movie or duration?
It's about, let's see, they always say that 60 pages is an hour.
Oh, okay.
So I'll say it's probably at the 2 hour mark in a way. Might be a little bit less.
An hour a page.
Yeah, or a page a minute. That's what they say.
Page a minute, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, that's my baby, man. Like, me and Lance have been working on that since 2019, and it's something that when I wrote it, it was so personal to me, because I remember, you know, I remember that summer before I left the Bay Area. I remember when I was looking out over the plane, or in the plane, and overlooking the bay as I was leaving, and the moments that I had, you know, with my family before I left. So it's something that's very dear to me, and it's something that, you know, imagine, you know, artists dropping mixtape after mixtape and single, and that first debut album is always so personal to me.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like what everybody's been waiting for. So
yeah,
I think that that's something that I'm hopeful that we could start production in next summer.
Damn.
That's the plan, you know.
You was taking that Allegiant Airlines from
Nah, man. You know, it was it was Alaska.
Alaska.
No, because Alaska was
Did you fly in a PDX or?
Nah, I flew into Eugene.
Okay.
Eugene, man,
Yeah.
and it was raining, bruh. And I remember I was just like, man, what am I getting myself into? But dog, like, those were moments, man, that I'll never forget. Those moments where I would leave out of Oakland to head into Eugene, because it was always so motivational, because I was like, all right, like, you set out to do this, you know, you got a mission, you know. And I would always write my notes and my goals on my phone on the plane ride there. But, you know, I would have never thought, I always knew that my first movie would be about that time, because it was so personal to me, you know.
That's funny, bro. We probably passed in the air a couple times.
Probably
I was
a couple
coming.
times.
When I'm leaving home from Portland, I'm going down to the Bay, flying into Oakland.
Yep.
You
Probably,
coming
for
the
sure,
other
for sure.
way.
Probably. Like, and that was at the same time too, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated high school in 11.
In 11? Okay. And I graduated in 12. So
12, yeah.
It was, but I didn't, it was probably around the same time.
Because that Good Kid, Mad City hit my freshman year.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Bro, it was a moment, bro. Like, that's, to this day, I always could ask people, like, what's your favorite Kendrick album? And I could kind of, like, judge them based off that. You know what I mean? Like, people will say, like, nah, you know, Good Kid, Mad City. Or people will say, you know, To Pimp a Butterfly, just because it was so artistic and out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, man.
Good Kid, Mad City had bangers, just riders.
Bruh, come on now.
I remember early morning drives, 6 a.m. You know, you got 6 a.m. workouts.
Yeah.
And actually, my homie who I'm staying with now, Cam, we driving his Charger, slapping Poetic Justice.
Bruh, at 6
early
a.m.?
morning. What?
Oh.
We're waking up at 5:15. You know, we're on the road. We used to live in Oakland, right over near, like, Emeryville.
Yep.
I think it was off San Leandro and, like, Alameda, like
Makes
that little
sense.
pocket right there. And yeah, when we used to drive to campus in the morning, Poetic Justice.
Bro, that's a vibe.
Going.
Man, that to this day, I think the only 2 songs that make me cry, 3 songs, is Mother I Sober, which is off Kendrick's last album, Real, and Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. For some reason, those 3 songs, and I think that Mother I Sober is equivalent to Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. Like, it's kind of like same universe, same parallels in a way. But those 3 songs, man, anytime I hear Real, like, I cry, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We might have to add that to a high quality question.
Yeah.
Some songs that made me cry.
Man.
Love by Music Soul Child.
Man.
And No Child Left Behind on Kanye West's Donda album. It was just a moment for me when it hit.
That Donda album hit, dog.
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. A quick question on those 2 years that passed when you wrote the first draft, and you said you let it breathe for 2 years.
Yeah, so we got done with it. We got done with the draft in 2020.
In 2020, and then
we just
put it on the shelf.
We just put it on ice, dog.
Yeah,
I didn't. Ironically enough, I knew in 2023 I was like, yeah, I'm about to go make this shit.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, all right, it's been on the shelf. Me and Lance were like, all right, let's go back to it.
Yeah. Were you nervous while it was on the shelf? Like, you know, I feel like I'm not going to get to it, or, you know, were you restless with it? Or, I mean, you had other projects going on, so.
Nah, man, I think confidently, I knew this is something that I was going to make.
Yeah.
And I think that I had to let it breathe. I had to, because in those 2 to 3 years, I became a better writer and a better storyteller. And when I looked at it recently, when we were doing our rewrites, I was like, damn, like I was, you know, writing very immaturely back then.
Right.
And I think Lance, my co-writer, he got better as well. So when we were able to go back and do this next draft, bro, we cut like 20 pages. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And the characters just felt more, you know, over time, like you watch more things, you read more things, you go through life. And now it's like this journey that we're on in this film is way more emotional. It's way more concise. And now we feel more confident when we're sharing it with the likes of like a Macro or a Proximity or a A24.
Yeah.
You feel more confident giving people like, hey, here goes the script that I wrote. Would love if you were able to produce it and come along as a partner in it. And they have to not only believe in you as a filmmaker, but they have to believe in the story as well. And I think that's how, you know, when people ask me like, okay, what's your feature about? I always tell them, I was like, it's a self-reflection of what my life was in 2013. And the journey that I was on with my, you know, 2 friends or my 2 best friends. And it's a classic summer film, you know what I mean? So I think that now with this next draft, I feel confident as hell giving it to people, you know, because I know now I'm like, same thing we talked about going over minute by minute. Now it's like every single section of dialogue in this page, I've read it like 100 times, you know, like now it's like, is this what I really want to put on there? Like, you know, so I think that's key now where I'm like, oh yeah, like me and Lance, we both know like we've given it to people that have high standards and they've been like, oh yeah, this draft is it. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Have you thought about the cast at all? Is it too far from that? Who's
man.
one actor that you?
I think
like,
one actor who
I've
been thinking about is Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things.
Okay.
He was the lead. He was one of the leads in LeBron James's new movie, Shooting Stars. But I just think that he's always, ever since day one, I've always known he was going to be the main character. I've always sought him out to be kind of the main character just because he kind of has that look and that vibe that I'm kind of going for. Because the main character is kind of like techie, he's kind of nerdy, but at the same time, he still got some swag to him. He could still operate, you know what I mean? So, nah, man, I mean, that's who I've always seen it. And then I have Vince Staples in there as well.
Okay.
And then I also, you know, we also want Baby Keem in there as well. So those are kind of 2 people that I would love to have them in the movie. Audition, not even audition, but just to play small roles in there. Because, you know, people always are like, oh, bro, like, you know, Vince was in this movie, go check it out. Or, bro, Baby Keem was in this movie. So I think that for me, I always think like, how can you cross-pollinate different genres? Like, okay, you bring in Vince Staples. You have Vince Staples fans who are going to check it out just for him. Yeah. You have Baby Keem fans who are like, oh, Keem is in this movie. Like, let's go check it out. Yeah. I saw recently my mentor, you know, he had Jack Harlow on White Man Can't Jump. Right. So it's like all those Jack Harlow fans are going to watch it. Yeah. Because Harlow's in there. And I think that's the key is like getting the best out of these different musicians, you know, and musicians can act.
Right.
You know,
they're artists.
They're artists. So it's like that's one of the things that I've been thinking about is how can I make this film not only artful and powerful, but how can we generate a cast of people who could not only act and bring the best on screen, but people who might have a following already.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Vince Staples is a hell of a personality, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I love watching interviews with that, too.
Yeah, man. And we just have him in there like he's just a barber, you know what I mean? But he's that barber that's literally going to, like, you know, tell you how it is and let you know how it is. Because we've all had that barber where it's like, yo, stop roasting on me. You know what I mean? So it's just that one moment where the kids are there's a scene in there where the kids are getting ready for 4th of July and they have this wisecracking barber who's kind of giving them game at the same time. But also, you know, he reveals, you know, to one of the main characters, he's like, like, oh, you and your baby mama, when is your baby expected? And the character's like, like, I was going, like, he's like, yo, like, 2 months from now. And he was like, 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 when did y'all, you said your girl got pregnant when? Like, in January. He's like, nah, but I was gone during New Year's. And then that character in his head is like, hold on, bro, maybe it ain't my kid. You know what I mean? And, like, he's like, bro, I'm sorry, that's not your baby. And the character's like, now he's thinking twice, and he goes back to his girl. And his girl's like, what are you even talking about? Like, he's trying to make her take a test, all that.
Yeah.
But it's just because, that character that we have in there is like just a wisecracking dude.
Yeah.
Where it's just
the barber said I wasn't hearing.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, dog. That might not be your kid, man. So it's like, that was a moment that Lance had wrote, and me and him kind of went back and forth on it. But it's just a funny moment, man, for Vince.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's tight. I like that, bro. Well, hey, man, I manifest that CTRL-X,
Man.
Be Your Good Kid, Mad City,
All times.
Reasonable Doubt, everything that a debut should be. I'm confident that it will be. I can't wait to see it when it hits the screen.
Bro, I think that's the thing that I just can't wait for is there's a movie theater in Oakland that everybody goes to, that everybody's had their debut. Anybody from the Bay Area has always had their debut or their premiere for their first feature at this movie theater in Grand Lake. And like Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, Earth Mama, Savannah Leaf, Blind Spotting. And I always have this vision of just everybody that I grew up with coming to the Grand Lake for the premiere of CTRL-X. People that I grew up with since, my aunts, my uncles, my parents, teachers, everybody coming together for this moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've always envisioned that in my head. And I know the day that it happens, I'm going to shed tears because this is something that I've been manifesting for the last 6 years,
Hell yeah. Shit, if you need a good looking light skinned brother to play one of those roles.
Bruh, hey man. Hey, I got you, bruh. I got you, man. We might have to like we might have to actually do an interview, bruh, like the day after the day leading up to it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
hell yeah.
And then we could just pair this one like back to back
Perfect.
with it. You feel me?
Perfect. No doubt, bro. Well, I want to transition into our high quality questions.
Yep, HQ, you feel me?
What movie or television show character most resembles you? You can't say CTRL-X. You can't say the kid because that's actually you. But like
resembles me.
Yeah,
that's a great question. I would say, man, Earn from Atlanta.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like I'm smooth. I'm not a nerd. But I'm kind of like, I've always been like kind of in between, you know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, I played sports, did all that, but I would like Earn is somebody who like was just a go-getter. He was like, he went to Paperboy and was like, hey, bro, look, like we gonna get this thing done. You know what I mean? Like he was like, yo, we gonna make sure everything is straight. Like, we gonna get on. And at the same time, like he's struggling with Van, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, he's dealing with these multiple characters at the same time, and I just think that's just how I am. Is like I'm always not I could be loud, but I could also be like really quiet and introverted.
Yeah.
And I'm also like a go getter, but it's just like that person that's just like you're floating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way, and you know when to take charge, but you could also be funny and. It's just kind of like you're not the gangster like Paperboy.
Yeah, right.
You're not the all the way weirdo like Darius. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, all right, well, what are you? I'm just kind of the in between guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like a super artsy person. You know what I mean? I'm not like just out there in space. I'm not a gangster. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just somebody who kind of floats and
in between.
Yeah, and kind of just maneuver how I should. You feel me?
You got layers, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Complex character, man.
Complex, man. But I try to just like, I feel like if I wanted to, I could be the artsy person. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to, I could be the Darius or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, to me, I'm just Tev, bro. Just Tev. I think simple as that. Oh, that's just how Tev is. I think that's what a lot of people say.
No doubt, bro. What is your ideal morning routine?
Wake up. Making my bed. Shout out to Howard White. You gotta know Howard White.
Nike.
Yeah. Like H. White. Yeah, it was like, so back then when I used to work at Jordan, he was like, man, like when you're in the like he wrote in his book, like when you're in the military, the first thing that you do is you make up your bed like every single morning.
Yeah.
Or else like your day is just shit. So I got into the habit, like first thing I do is I'll wake up, make up my bed. You know what I mean? Simple as that. At least I know it'll be good. Like my day will be straight.
Yeah.
But wake up, make my bed, make some tea, make a green juice, burn some burn some Palo Santo, burn some incense. I might have something, you know, motivational playing in the background. Recently it's been like Joel Osteen, kind of getting back on him. And then I have like this, and then right before I go to the gym, I'll spray some Florida water. Shout out to my homegirl Vandy. She has these cases of Florida water where, you know, you spray it in your house. It's just for like positive vibrations, and it smells good, and you know it'll really uplift you. So yeah, really just making sure that I'm keeping my body right. Then I'll go to the gym. So it's really just, you know, tea, green juice, make my bed, set the spiritual vibes in my house, you know, the positive vibrations, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll come back, take a shower, have a smoothie, and then I'll go do whatever I do for the day, whether that's direct or write or go to the library or take meetings or whatever I do. But that's my ideal morning.
That's fire.
Man.
Yeah. That's an ideal morning.
That is, man. That's to me like what brings me peace. And I'm like, dang, if I've gotten to a routine of doing that so much where I'm just like, all right, like I'll have anxiety if I don't do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check out the Florida water.
Florida
water?
Florida water. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, check that out. Well, it's crazy because the next question was going to be, how do you reset?
I'll tell you this straight up. I take my drives. I'll drive. I started this in the pandemic, but I'll drive to the water, and I'll go to Dockweiler Beach or Manhattan or Redondo, and I'll take my drives and I'll listen to my music, and I'll just go overlook the ocean. And it's kind of a habit that I've been doing since I was a kid. When I was living in the Bay Area, I would drive to Berkeley, and I would just, you know exactly where Berkeley's at, man. Like I would go to Lawrence Hall of Science,
up on the hill,
and I would just sit there and just overlook the bay. And I'll do the same thing here in LA. I'll just drive to the water, and sometimes I know when I need it, and I'll go there and I'll overlook the ocean, and that's my happy place, man. Yeah. That's the place that really makes me reset on a spiritual level, and really just be thankful about where I am, because sometimes I can get over my head like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm supposed to be here, there, but then I'm like, nah. Like as I get older, I realize, man, the universe has never failed you. It's never failed you, so there's no reason to stress. You're doing everything that you can, because bro, the thing about filmmaking, I mean, you know this, every single day that you wake up, bro, you never know what could happen. Not in a bad way, but just you never know what opportunity might come to you. You know, there might be a moment where it's like, hey, B, like, we want you to host this day that we're having at Nike. We've seen what you've done. You might get that random email. And it's like, damn, I was not expecting that. And I've had moments like that all the time where I'll just get random emails or random phone calls for opportunities. And it's just like, see, that's what happens when you just let go. You know, so many times we try to control everything, but sometimes you have to be open to that, because every single day you might get an email or a phone call for an opportunity that might change your life. Yeah,
that's real. I feel like the reset is so important, bro.
Yeah, man.
Because you could just get so caught up in the commotion of your everyday life and pursuing what you pursuing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's like you start trying to control everything.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. You can't control everything, bro.
Yeah, gotta surrender to the moment, to the universe. Man. That's real. I like that. Your favorite follow on social media? Who is your favorite Instagram follow?
Who I follow?
Yeah. Who do you like to follow? It could be a person, could be a place, thing, random profile.
Man, Jojo Ruski.
Jojo Ruski?
Yeah.
I don't know Jojo Ruski.
Jojo Ruski is Kendrick's burner account.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I just think that, like, I think for years, Kendrick has lived in such a private life, and he's always taken himself so seriously. And then when he dropped his burner account, it's just Kendrick in a light that we've never seen him before. You know what I mean? Like, he's having fun, he's joking, like he's posting, you know, not threads, but he's posting like carousels of just different shit. It's like a little mood board.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite follow, because it's just like, for years I always looked at Kendrick as such like this serious guy, and like he's like, nah, like fuck social media, you know what I mean? I don't really want to be on here, like it's for the birds. But then when you look at his account with the JoJo Ruski, it's like, oh, bro, Kendrick just like me. You know what I'm saying? Like he just like all of us. Like he'll fuck around on Instagram and like post carousels and memes and like roast on different homies. But at the end of the day, it made me realize, like, even with social media, it's like, bro, at the end of the day, like, it don't matter. Like, he's posting selfies and joking with homies, and it's like, to see Kendrick in that light, it's motivational, just because it's like, bro, you know, some of the biggest star right now is over here making, you know, posting memes and crazy funny ass shit. So yeah, man, bro, JoJo Ruski, man, shout out JoJo Ruski, you feel me? On JoJo Ruski, you feel me?
A breath of fresh air.
A breath of fresh air off tops, bro. Me and my homie Alberto, we've talked about this, where I think that Kendrick, he got everything that he needed to get off his chest with his last album, and I think now he's able to have more fun, and he's not taking life like as serious, just based off what I've seen. But I remember I was talking to Alberto, and I was like, hey, bro, like, I think Kendrick about to be in this fun era, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden the Hillbillies dropped, which is like a, you know, silly, fun thing that he did with Keem, and the video was fun as well. And then like a month later, he drops the JoJo Ruski account, and it's the same thing. So I think now, like, from what I think Mr. Morale was something that he wanted to get off of his chest. Yeah. And I think now he's like, now that I've completed that, it's out into the world, I've got everything, I've got it off my chest, now I can just have fun with it. I think that's the thing, is like with artistry, it's like we take ourselves so serious sometimes, we forget to have fun in it, you know? And I think that's something that I'm trying to adjust and find balance in right now, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. And I mean, inspiring to see a guy like that who, because as an artist, you want to create and put something meaningful out in the world. Mm-hmm. And then you see Kendrick, who's done that time and time again. But then you see him also having fun. Oh, yeah. Taking a deep breath and not taking himself seriously. Exactly. So I feel like for us aspiring to do that, to see that you can be both. You can be both.
Yeah. You know, and I think people, and the thing is, like, dog, like, people want to see that. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to see the side of you of your artistry that's serious all the time. Like, they want to see you when you have, like, fun and you're not being so strategic and lined up. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, you know, especially when I'm on Instagram, like, I'm very careful about what I post online and how much I share. But there was a moment like yesterday where me and my friends were just at like a function, and I was like, man, fuck it. Like, I was posting, like, not heck of stuff, but I was just having hella fun, like, just posting whatever. Yeah. And it was just sometimes like, and that kind of goes back to that JoJo Ruski, where it's just like, bro, like, have fun with it, bro. Like, people want to see that, you know what I mean? They don't want to see you like so serious and dropping motivational quotes all the time and like mood boards, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
you got a motivational profile though,
bro. Yeah,
you will motivate me, bro. When I go as I scroll through that story, or that carousel,
bro. Yeah, nah, and that's the thing, is like, people now have like known me for that. They're like, you gonna drop mood boards, visuals, and motivational quotes. And I'm like, all right, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. But like, I'm like, sometimes I'll really be out with the homies, and I'm like, I'll be goofy as hell. You know what I mean? And be funny. So it's just like, bro, like, it's just finding the balance in it. You know what I mean?
I feel that, bro.
Yeah.
I love that. What is your most memorable celebrity interaction?
Bro, I could, off tops, man.
Talk to me. Describe it. Give us some color here.
I got you. I met my idol. I met Ryan Coogler, and I could share that story. It was like 2 or 3 days before Halloween, and I'm at my office, and my big bro D-Lo called me. He was like, "Hey, bro, like, what's cracking? What you want tonight?" And I'm like, "Hey, dog, like, I got, I'm supposed to be going to this Halloween party. I got one of my best friends in town. Y'all cool, you know?" And he's like, I'm like, bro, like, you know, we just going to this function. He's like, hey, you know, drop all that. Like, there's this party up in the hills. They celebrating the release of like Wakanda Forever. Slide. And I'm like, all right, for sure. Like, you know, like, all right, maybe, you know, I don't know. Like, I'm like, there's a potential moment that I could meet Coog for the first time, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, so throughout the whole day, like, I'm like, all right, bro, should I go to this party in the hills or should I go to my homie's party? You know what I mean? And I was like calling people like back and forth. They were like, nah, you need to go to that party in the hills. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I come back home. I have all my homies slide through. Legit, bro. Like, everybody's like pre-gaming at my crib, getting ready to head to this party. And I'm legit, like, I'm going with my homegirl, Vandy, and then her homegirl. And we're going to this party in the hills. So I invite like all these people over to my crib. Everybody's kind of like, you know, drinking all that. And I'm like, bro, hey, just lock up my house when y'all leave. I'm like leaving all these people at my house. So we get in the Uber. By the time we take like an Uber Black up there, we get in the party. And I see my homie D-Lo. And immediately he's like, come here. And he grabs me and then he gets cool. And it's like, boom, like, all right, here y'all go. And I was just like, damn, this is crazy. I was like, oh man, I heard a lot about you, you know, jokingly, you know what I mean? And he, you know, he's like, you know, and he's been hearing about me for like some time, like over the course of the years, because I've met with his team multiple times. We've done projects. I've done projects with his team. So it was only a matter of time before me and him actually got to like meet each other. And bro, we just sat down and we were just in the middle of this party and we're talking about different Bay Area shit, like not even movies or films. Like, we're just talking about Bay shit. And as we're talking, he's like introducing to me people like, hey, you know Tevin? Oh, bro, he's another Bay Area filmmaker. Like, hey, you know Tevin? Nah, and people like, nah, I ain't never been. Like, oh, you know Tevin? And I'm like, bro, the person who got me into film, the person who I've been looking up to for the last like 10 years is like introducing me to people by first name in this party. I was holding back tears. You know what I mean? And this is like the first time that I've ever shared this story. I remember calling my dad the next morning and I was like, man, like I met Coog and we talked. He was like, you know, you knew this day was going to happen one day, eventually. And, man, bro, just, it was kind of the day that I've been waiting for, you know what I mean? Cause it's like, you know, somebody who's from the same, like somebody who's from your hometown, looks like you, talks like you, believes in the same vision, to be able to meet him for the first time. It kind of was like, okay, like you're here, you know, you're here, you know, it's happened. Now time to, you know, go finishing and keep putting in the work. Everything that, like we talked about before, like everything that I've been working for, everything that I've dreamed of, it's all gonna happen. Like, we gonna make CTRL-X. Like, we gonna make this TV show. I'm gonna leave an impact. You feel me? So as long as every day I wake up and I take care of business, I can't be stopped. You know what I mean? Because every day I know what it takes to, I know every single day, if I just keep doing what I've been doing over the last 10 years, then I'll exceed my expectations. And every single day that I wake up, I strive for excellence and nothing less. So I don't have any fear. And I think that I know that the universe and God is going to take care of the rest.
God damn. Bro, that's an incredible story.
Man.
Appreciate you describing that to us. And I appreciate you taking the time today, man.
Oh, man, it's good, bro. I appreciate you even having me on here, bro. You know what I'm
Destined
saying?
for greatness, bro.
Yeah, man.
You know Tev?
Yeah.
You know Tev?
Oh, bro, that was
That's hard.
Hey, bro, you know Tevin? Hey, bro, you know, bro, that was, I'm over here like, hey, bro, what? Like, this is the guy that I've been looking up to for the last 10 years, man. I've watched all his interviews, all his films, like, studied, bro. And he over here introducing to me at a party.
Yeah.
Like, it's like nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, It was crazy, bro.
Hey man, I can't wait to see you continue to grow, bro. Again, I appreciate you coming on
Tosh.
another episode of B-Star TV.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you even having me, bro. You feel me?
All day. Season 2.
Season 2 on the way.
We're rolling, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
There you have it, folks. Another episode of B-Scar TV, where we are on the pursuit of high-quality content, and it's an endless pursuit. Please give us some feedback, some constructive criticism, comments. Give us a like, the whole thing. We have my dog Tev on.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. There you go. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
This episode of B-Scar TV has been brought to you by Scarlett Creative. For the full-length video episode and more content, find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at B-Scar TV. And please, leave us a review. Drop a comment. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear from? We would love to hear from you. This is your host, with the most, Brennan Scarlett, signing off. Peace.